Hello,
everybody.
Hello.
Oh my.
Welcome to the Salon.
Half a sentence got in there that sounded interesting.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
Nothing was happening. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Nothing to see here.
Ken.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Krista. Welcome, Will, to the desk. And welcome to the audience. Lively already. Love to see you all. I see Benji and Joel and DT, and some of our speakers are even hopping in the chat. Love it, love it, love it. Y'all, she hath risen, she hath returned. Beverly Crusher, our Lord and Savior, has returned to the Enterprise D to Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3. And we're going to get into it. But before we do, as always, we will vamp until I can find it. We will.
But before we... You and your things.
And
you and your things.
And,
I was going to ask how your Thanksgivings were, and then you cut me off.
And we're going to continue to cut you off. Set an intention. How was everybody's Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. Yeah.
That's it?
You made such a fuss, and then you're just like...
I was up in New Jersey. I was up in New Jersey, and I enjoyed time with my family and friends. And yeah, it was good. Got to walk the boardwalks of Long Branch, New Jersey, which is a lot of fun. So,
I was going to be alone with just the dogs, and
then you were never alone.
And my husband called, and I was on the phone with him, and he was supposed to be in Tennessee, and I kept hearing an echo and thinking there was something wrong with my phone. And I went to the front door, and he was at the front door with food. And it was like,
I love your husband.
I love my husband. And let me tell you that he was so excited because he cannot keep a secret or anything. And he knew 2 weeks before, like everybody in the family knew 2 weeks before. And they were all like, don't call her. Brack, you can't talk to her for like 2 weeks because you're going to fucking blow it. You're going to say something. And he's like, no, it's going to be fine. But he pulled it off. And he had food. He had contacted all his chef friends in town and said, listen, I'm going to be in an Uber and I'm just going to come and pick up. And he went and picked up all my favorite stuff throughout the city, and all our chef friends put it together, and there were little notes written on the containers and stuff. It was so sweet. And so find somebody that does that. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Find somebody that does that.
He gets all the kudos.
If
he give like extra. He's not even here, and he gets Salon points for that. So
he does. He gets it. Trev would award him 1,000,000 Salon points for that.
Yes.
So that was my Thanksgiving.
William, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was awful.
It was awful, terrible.
Wow. I am sorry to hear that. You didn't even have any.
No, it wasn't.
We did a Friendsgiving.
We're
doing a bit.
That was the bit. It didn't land.
Did you have that burned, replicated bird meat? Did you have any of that stuff?
Almost.
No. Delicious chicken, actually.
Yeah. Pizza.
Even better mashed potatoes. The one thing I did. Everything else was.
I did everything. Yeah.
Delicious cook.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do try.
Wow.
I do try.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was lovely.
How was Walter's Thanksgiving? Joel wants to know.
Oh, it was good. Eating lots of treats. It's always good.
He was so excited to see me. It had been a whole 2 days since I had been dog fitting him.
Right.
This little cute little bugger.
Mm-hmm.
Love him.
He's a good boy. You got lots of treats.
Boy.
Yes. Joel, I saw this in the Discord earlier. Made his family watch Tex Trek's STLV recap to explain what is STLV, and it's a great primer. Awesome. And Those Old Scientists, great episode for Thanksgiving.
It's coming out on that episode of Strange New Worlds is coming out on HD Blu-ray next week. I'm excited.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All righty. Well,
4K. Let's see. It looks like it's 4K.
If it's okay with Ken.
No.
I want to set an intention as we get to talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 3. Actually, quick programming note. Several people are traveling next week, so there won't be a Salon next Thursday. But 2 weeks from this evening, we will begin again talking about Season 2. The following week, Season 1, and then we'll be out the rest of the year. Just like another week or two at that point.
Then we go to the original series, right?
No, absolutely not. But tonight we're talking about Season 3, something the original series almost didn't get. Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 3. We're going to set an intention. We're going to talk about it. Beverly Crusher had her triumphant return with little fanfare. And so the question this evening for my intrepid panel is, what character would you like to see return to the franchise in some way? And we can go in any order. So Beverly returns. Who would you like to have a Beverly Crusher-like return?
Oh.
I will go first to give you all time to think and fill some dead air because I'm good at hosting. I'm going to say Jadzia. I want her back. I want the prophets to deliver her back. I've said something along similar lines, but somebody on Twitter had this more original idea, and I can't remember who to credit, and I apologize. But I've said she should come back in some way, and someone nailed it and said that the prophets should gift her back Sans symbiote because Dax already exists in Ezri now. But was like a whoopsie, sorry that happened, our bad. And there you go. So I would like to see Jadzia back. Who has someone else they'd like to see back in the franchise?
They have to have died? Is that
no?
Or they were just gone?
Just gone.
All right.
Left the show, maybe returned. You know who I want to see return? We talked about this. I want to see T'Pol come back in Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
I want to see Jolene Baylock. I think she's like semi-retired from acting, which is kind of a bummer because after we hung out on Tuesday, I started rewatching Enterprise, and she's so good in it. So good. And like, it'd be cool to have her come back in like a fun cameo for Strange New Worlds, because she could theoretically still be alive at that point. Mm-hmm. So it would be nice to have her return. The other person I would say would be Ro Laren, but we did have her return. In my mind, she's dead. Like, she died. I don't need her to be like return. You know, I don't need that. But no, it would be T'Pol. I want her to come back for an episode of Strange New Worlds. Be my return.
Ken or Krista?
I would want mine's kind of a theme. I would like Elnor. I liked his absolute candor was just comic gold. Like, everything he did, I just adored it. And Dr. Sellar, what's the actress name?
She was also Kalar. Susie Plaxton.
Yeah.
Susie Plaxton. She could come back as anything, actually, yes. But as Solar, yeah. Those two characters I would like to see in some capacity come back.
Before Ken rounds us out for our intention setting, Joel wants Prime Lorca to return, or not return, be there at all, because we never saw him. Cisco is who Joanne wants back. We all want the Cisco to return. And Ken, take us out of the intention setting nebula.
You know, this is hard because I think I would trying to think of who hasn't come back. We had from the original series, we had Chekhov come back in Picard, season 3, sort of. We had Sulu come back in Lower Decks. If I said I wanted William Shatner's Kirk to come back, I think Stanley would kill me. So
just shake my head disapprovingly.
Yeah, and we've seen Kirk back. I think I've said it before. I think one of the characters that I really liked from the original series that would be kind of cool to come back in Strange New Worlds, sort of backwards, would be Samuel T. Cogsley, attorney at law. I think that would be a cool thing, especially if we ever got the concept of a Law and Order kind of Star Trek show, or a JAG kind of Star Trek show that Stanley you've talked about before.
That'd
Who
be a lot of fun.
who was the guy in the original series? He had the curly mustache and
Harry Mudd,
Harry Mudd.
who did come back in.
He came back in Discovery. Rainn Wilson plays him.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah,
one of the
Rainn
better
Wilson.
episodes of that season too.
that was a great
Yeah.
episode.
It would be nice to have
That
him
was
come
a
back.
great episode.
That'd be good.
Timey wimey stuff
Yeah.
happening. Love it.
Yeah, so that'd be cool.
Fun to have come back with Savick.
Oh yeah.
Because she could still technically be alive because she's significantly younger than Spock.
Mhm.
So we could
Robin
have her
Curtis?
theoretically
Yeah.
come back in Legacy because
Yeah.
Spock was still alive in 2380 whenever
Mhm.
he goes back in time.
Yeah, Robin Curtis is still
Yeah.
around.
Bring her back, Robin Curtis.
As Savick, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Kim Cattrall, bring them both back. Let's find out what happened with Valeris.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good intentions.
Thanks, Joanne.
Great intentions, in fact. All right, I think we're warmed up and ready to talk about the season that brought back the Beverly.
Not the Beverly.
Let's get into it. That's right. This is new to Will. He hadn't
Yeah.
seen that video before.
I was across the pond.
This is now.
I was in the old.
Oh, we didn't even ask.
Yeah.
We totally.
We can
Maybe
talk about
you
it
don't
later.
care.
Let's get
Okay.
into this.
No. Let's do it.
Oh, about my trip to
Yeah.
London.
Forget.
Oh, to London.
Oh, I was like, what the hell's happened?
Yeah.
I gone for 2 weeks and the whole salon changed.
And everyone
it's-
gets delusions of grandeur. I'm
Oh,
out of
yeah.
it for a little while, and everyone gets delusions of grandeur.
I know. No, I went to London to visit one of my best friends, Katie. She's there studying screenwriting at getting her master's in screenwriting there. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and had a great time. It was super fun. Loved it. I love London. It's like one of my it's one of my favorite cities. It was great. It wasn't like too cold. It was wet, but it wasn't like raining. It was fabulous. I saw Sunset Boulevard on the West End, which was a wild
Oh.
production. It was wild.
I love the West End. The
Yeah.
first thing I noticed about the West End was that the theaters are so significantly smaller than Broadway, but they're just more epic. Even though they're smaller, they're more epic somehow.
Yeah, they're really small, and they don't believe in air conditioning in Europe, so it was hot.
That's cool.
Even though it was cooler outside, it was still hot as shit in there. But like, no, it was great. It was fun. I had a good time. Ate a lot of food, drank a lot, vibed. I love London, and the weird thing too is I was walking around and I was rarely ever heard an English accent. I was like, where the hell are we? And then, it was so weird. We walk around and be like, someone's like talking in like an American accent. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get out of here. But I'm like,
I'm the only American here.
I should be the only one here. But yeah, no, it's because we're staying in a college town. So there's a lot of international students at this particular school. And whereas my friend is studying in like, it's Ealing, which is like a kind of a suburb of London, and like the DILFs, hot dads everywhere. I just have to point out, hot dads, all of them everywhere. Thank you so much. I'll take it. No, it was great. It was great. I love London. It was nice to get away. Yeah.
London's a great town to walk around. London's a wonderful walking town. I love.
Oh yeah, no, we did that. We walked over to Parliament and then Buckingham Palace and then parks through there, and then we went to Notting Hill and walked around, and then
It's a great movie.
yeah, and then we went out.
And we saw
Look,
Julia
kids, Big Ben,
Roberts
Parliament.
Ooh, Big
Yeah.
Ben.
All right. Queen of segues.
Good football music, Stan. You got
Oh,
good
good.
football music.
Let's
Wow.
talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 3. We're going to begin our Thumb Wars, and for the audience asking Thumb Wars, this is where we discuss episode by episode. With Trevor being out sick today, we wish him well. We are going to give each episode. I'm going to read the description, the episode name, the description, and then we will give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a thumbs sideways. Some episodes may warrant discussion, some may not. We'll breeze through. One of these days when I say, okay, we got to move on, that will be respected. Let's see if it happens tonight. Probably not.
Maybe.
These panelists.
Yeah.
If not, then I will just throw up all of the banners because I am drunk on the power of banners.
Yeah.
And I forgot to give myself one of these just for the name of it.
Double alert.
There you go.
Episode.
There we go.
Michelle counting.
Standing Bev alert. Standing Bev alert.
Yeah.
Standing Bev alert.
All righty. So we begin with season 3, episode 1, Evolution. The crew
This
fights
is
for survival when a mysterious force attacks the ship's life support systems.
This is
I
Wesley's
also want to
nanites.
say that this is 1989 and 1990 when these first aired, just to set us in time.
This was the one where Wesley has the nanite and they fuck up
Yeah.
the ship. Yeah.
I'm going sideways on this one.
Yeah,
And
it's a weird opener.
Sort of leaning up because I like that they opened with this episode where they sort of are arguing the single consciousness of the nanites and how they are identifying an enemy and they're attacking as a group and they're sharing a consciousness. And I like the bookends of that. They start with nanites opposing a specific human, identifying a human as an enemy and opposing, and ending with the Borg identifying a human and assimilating. So I like my feeling overall for the whole season is every little episode is sort of hinting towards best of both worlds. Each episode gives us something else that sort of directly addresses a single consciousness operating. And I don't know that that was specific, that they were intending to do that, but the more you know about the end, the more you see it in these earlier, the prime directive arguments, all of the with Mad Kevin, all of the arguments against annihilating something simply for being able to contribute nothing but destruction. Mad Kevin. So
yeah, it's a good bit, but yeah.
All of it is sort of leading to the end, which I just picked that up this time for the shows that I rewatched to do this. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And there's also a lot of like tech speak. Like they moved on to a lot of they hit us with,
the techno babble is really heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
A lot,
400 gigatwatts of this thing, and you're like,
so it's not
Kevin is mad.
It's like gigawatt,
watts. And so the techno babble and all of that sort of leads to this largely technological race that is assuming and assimilating humans, but still speaking as one, and how quote unquote it's supposed to be simplified. It's a simplified way of living. Very timely. Anyway, so that's
as someone probably the only one on this panel who watched the show when it originally aired. This show, when it came on, I was like, what is this show? Because new cinematography, new uniforms, whole new approach to the show. That opening scene where the Enterprise and you see the special effects, you'd never seen anything like that looked that beautiful in the first 2 seasons. And you never saw the uniforms. So right away, watching this show in its season premiere, I'm like, wow, they have kicked this thing up many notches. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done, better than you ever saw in seasons 1 or season 2. It was amazing. And then just having Beverly back without any reference to really what happened to her, just she's back.
Yeah.
But the thing that really struck me, the episode itself was kind of mediocre, but the creative team set a new standard right away that, hey, this is a new show. Pay attention to us. We're in the big leagues now. And that's what this show said to me.
It almost does feel like going chronologically from season 1, season 2 to season 3. It does feel like this is almost like a new pilot for a different show. Like it does, you're right when you say that, Ken, because it does feel like that. Because it doesn't like I don't even like the uniforms, the cinematography, the way the set is lit, the colors that are being used,
Everything.
Yeah, everything. It just it immediately has a different like visual language. It's super interesting that you say that. I think this was the point that they basically took the whole series from Gene, right? They're like, you're not doing this anymore. And they handed it over to Rick Berman pretty much.
Well, yeah, Gene was getting sicker and sicker, and he wasn't, he basically became much more of a consultant. And they just, so yes, this really became more of a Rick Berman thing. And at this point, season 1 and season 2 had really not done well. Season 2, as we know, was hampered by the writer's strike as well. And ended on the Shades of Grey note. So
we're going to talk about it in 2 weeks. Get ready.
So, but what ended up happening was the powers that be essentially knew from all angles, from the suits on down, that said, if you guys can't do it here, you're basically done. So, season
and they had
3,
a good template from doing it with the movies. They were like, all right, we're going to take these movies from him, and then we're going to do the same thing with the TV show.
They at this point too, they opened up the show to which hadn't really been done at the time, where they opened the show for people to submit stories, which is where we get Yesterday's Enterprise, which is this season. We'll talk about. So I think that really opened the show for more input and more creativity in terms of like what information people are getting, which I think New Trek, if we're going to pull into this, might need to take a page from. I mean, they don't have enough episodes to really justify having an open call for stories like the way they do for this, because I think what the season's almost 26 episodes. It's incredibly long. So I just don't think that that's a feasible possibility nowadays. But like, you can see the way all the stories are so varied. This is a general overview of the season. I know we're not talking about that. But
I was about to give us one of the.
Oh yeah, I'll mention it. It's adjacent. It's
adjacent. It's going to circle back. I was just going to say, and then move us on to the next episode.
Sorry.
No.
I was having thoughts.
I'm pulling in my co-host duty. I take it seriously, moving us along and whatnot. But we were talking the other day about how if they gave them, I personally, what I would like to see is like keep doing a Strange New Worlds, a Legacy, an Academy, but also start considering giving us a longer season with a lower budget per episode. Like I love the spectacle, but light it better. It's just my own whatever. But still beautiful. Season 3 was beautiful. Strange New Worlds is beautiful, but it would be cool to get longer seasons and bring in fan input in a way that doesn't feel like, oh, people are bitching on Twitter, and so we're going to completely change Discovery, or we're going to completely make a season about nostalgia, or insert your hot take here. But instead, just vary it up a little bit. With a longer season, you have more opportunity to do that. With the shorter seasons, they need to be tighter. You only have 10 episodes. That's why we were talking with Stranger World season 2. There were a couple of episodes where it's like, this kind of felt like filler and like not character filler. But that's what happens.
I just don't
now
think
we have a longer season. So we've got 26 episodes and we're only on episode 2 now. Let's wrap up this first episode. Give me your thumbs again for Evolution. It was sideways all around.
I'm giving it a thumbs up because it broke new ground from look and feel.
And unfortunately, you are outvoted on this one. So it's a thumbs sideways for the tally. But your opinion is respected and hereby moved on from. Episode 2. We love you, Ken. Episode 2, The Ensigns of Command. Data races against time to save a human colony that's been marked for death by aliens. Death to all of them.
Thank you. My job is the gasp. I don't remember this one.
The
Shellyak.
The Shellyak.
Yeah.
That's the race I want to see come back. The fucking Shellyak. Yes. Those guys were wild.
They should be on the legal show.
They were fun.
They look a lot like Armin.
Yes.
That'd be good.
In the dark.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Armin after the light bulb went out.
Exactly.
Armin.
Sport features.
Oh, good. I like that.
No, it's
Oh.
kind of a nice precursor to The Offspring, though.
Yeah.
You know, not in a pedophile way, but like, you know, he's in a situation. We see this later on in seasons, but he's in a situation where it's the first time, you know, he doesn't quite understand how the whole emotional thing works, which is kind of cool. My question for that episode was, first of all, the angry leader guy, he was not unattractive.
Goshavin was hot as hell.
Yeah, he was a hottie. But when Data, and this is like one of those ridiculous SNL questions where like they make fun of the audience for Star Trek, but when Data shoots the aqueduct, does he ruin the aqueduct and now they have to wait 2 weeks with no water for the other ships to come? I mean, that was the thing that I was left with this episode. Like, what happened to the aqueduct? Did you just ruin all the water?
I think so.
Yeah. That was it. That was the whole, it was like a hanging thread that I didn't understand. Did you just tweak it? Did you
It was a cool effect.
What did you do? Yeah, it was a very cool effect. And I liked the water feature.
Let's do our thumbs. It sounds like this is a
thumbs down. I don't like it.
Boring. It was boring.
Oh, I was gonna give it a side.
Wow, and I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. But I think 2 downs and up and a side makes it a side.
Down. We hear your comments, Stanley, and we move on.
I think an average of an up, a sideways, and 2 downs makes it.
I think it's still technically a down.
Probably a down.
Yeah, a down.
All right,
yeah.
well,
it's not. I agree.
You're allowed to be wrong, and that's fine. So now, episode 3, The Survivors. The crew travels to Rana 4, a remote colony where just 2 of its 11,000 inhabitants have miraculously survived a devastating attack.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is one with the with the crystalline entity.
No,
it's not.
No, this is Angry Kevin.
This is Angry Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the best episodes. This is one of the best episodes the Next Generation ever did.
Okay, but here's my question. Why is it that whenever Deanna has some kind of issue where she can't function and she has to seek medical attention either in sickbay or in her stateroom, whichever, why does it require she be completely disrobed? She is the only person, literally the only person that I'm going to give her a hypo spray, but I need her to take all of her clothes off first and lay with a little bit of side boob and a blanket.
And listen, this is why Beverly's real love interest should have been Deanna Troi. Right. I think that the true love story of Star Trek: The Next Generation was Deanna and Beverly.
Lesbian.
Just look at the scenes in the gym. I mean, all you got to do is see the scenes in the gym. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that episode.
We'll get there.
Where they're stretching in front of the fucking mirror.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Believe me, we will get there. It definitely deserves a problematic.
Yeah, it does.
But no, Krista, I think you're right, because it's not just this episode, and we are pro boys.
It's after this constantly.
But one thing that I love about Marina's choices is like whenever she's harmed by something psychically, it's painful but orgasmic at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a very like 80s and 90s trope that when someone is clearly hurting, to be like, no, I'm fine, I'm just gonna go to my quarters, when like, no, girl, go to sick bay, something's wrong with you. But also in this episode,
but that's an interesting point. With Deanna's character was always like that. She always she always tried to handle it herself.
Yes.
Yeah. Every time. And Ben, it is, I never really thought of it as a TOS feel to it, but now that you mention it, it is a bit of a TOS feel to it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But that's not why I think it is one of the best episodes of The Next Generation. One of the reasons I think it's one of the best episodes of The Next Generation is because it has one of the most incredible antagonists ever, if that's the right word, because he's not really a villain. And the guest cast is fantastic. 2 amazing character actors that you've seen in shows like The Twilight Zone and so forth. Just phenomenal what they did.
She's the caseworker from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
Yeah, that too.
And she was also
she's been in so many things.
So many things. Like, wasn't she in Dennis the Menace?
Yes.
And then she has one of those voices that you can hear in almost any movie that she's in and be like, oh yeah, that's her.
Yeah. She had like a very she was in literally everything. Like that
Bajoran magistrate.
Yes. That lady worked.
I am over 100 years old and I intend to be home before supper. Clack. Thumbs for this episode.
Thumbs up. That's great.
2 thumbs up.
All right. It is a thumbs up. Episode 4. Who watches the Watchers? Mistakenly believing Captain Picard to be a god, the members of a primitive culture seize Troy and prepare to sacrifice her to him.
It's a great episode. It's a really good Prime Directive episode.
This one I was like, last week was great, and now here's this week, which is arguably even better. Sorry,
but
Krista.
Just tell me that you didn't laugh every time. What's his face? What is his name? Greg Wise, the guy who played the
dad in Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Ray. Is it Ray Wise?
I think so.
He every time he said the Picard, I just burst out laughing. Like there was so much earnestness
the Picard
that it cracked me up. But I think this is one of the we're on the 4th episode, and I think as to Beverly coming back, I think what they tried in season 2 with Pulaski, and I think they did her wrong. I think not mentioning where she is even by the 4th episode is sort of lame. But I think they tried to sort of reboot Bones in the sense of like irascible and like, kind of unapologetically who she was, but they didn't write any of the charm that he had. And so when they bring Beverly back, I think in the first maybe 6 episodes, it's pretty well established that it struck me as she's here specifically in a medical capacity now. That is her role. That is her. There's no suggestion to anything else. There's like minor suggestions with the kid, but her function at this point is more along the lines of what Pulaski's function was, which was to just be arguing with Picard about the Prime Directive or what have you, and just deal with the medical stuff. And I think what was funny about this episode was the guy's on the table. He wakes up and he's like, oh, the Picard. And he's fawning all over Picard like he'd done something great. And it's like, dude, too bad you weren't awake, 5 seconds ago when the Picard was ready to leave your ass for dead. He's like yelling at her for bringing you on board. If it wasn't, she's the one like doing stuff. And so the whole episode strikes me as it was just funny from beginning to end, up into including you're seriously going to take a arrow to the gut so that this guy can have a better life. I mean, it's very.
It's not that, Krista. He's taking an arrow to the gut to save the Prime Directive.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like the Prime Directive is such a variable, because just the previous episode, you had a guy who did the ultimate of Prime Directive, even though he had the actual power to stop this completely decimating species, but only did it after the fact, after the consequences of following a Prime Directive type
right.
within himself that decimated everybody on the planet itself, and the love of his life. And now he's this, eternal being that's going to be by himself playing hologram times in this make-believe existence that he has. And so, yeah, he put himself in line for the prime directive, but it's, you know, he took an arrow to the gut. It's just like, just shoot me. It just seems so, it was just, I was like, I know you guys like this episode. I was like, the premise is cool. I just didn't like the execution. I think that watchers need to be watched, but I didn't like the execution of it. However, I did really like that they're addressing issues that are interesting this season. And this one is just the unfettered acceptance of religion without any cognitive reasoning, any critical thought. Just if I do what Picard wants, he's going to bring back my dead wife, because that's how it works. If I am a good person, I'm going to go to heaven and live, you know, in the most beautiful place ever. And it's just this kind of acceptance and how that can metastasize out into other communities. And it's a dangerous thing. So anyway, that was rambling, but that's what I got out of it. But still, it's a thumbs down for me.
Well, I have to disagree. It's a thumbs up for me, but I appreciate your perspective. I do, however, think one thing that the thing that made me love this episode was Picard realizing that, like, it was even that scientist was saying, like, listen, a religion is forming around you. We got to nudge their development. And Picard was like, absolutely not. We got to just come clean and, like, let them know, whoopsie daisy, y'all aren't supposed to know about us, but you do now. Here's the truth. And, like, at least let the truth be what sparks their evolution, rather than believing in a mythical figure of a Starfleet officer that would just happen to be there when he woke up.
I do think it's one of the first time that I can really remember that, like, the Prime Directive is like an established thing that it's challenged in a way. Because, like, it's kind of happened in TOS, but it was like, it kind of, Kirk was always like, ah, fuck it, let's just do it. Let's hand these people the Constitution. Like, you know, like, it's like they like blatantly, like, kind of like, there's like an affront to it. And I think this episode is one where there's really like an interesting challenge in terms of, like, what that means, their involvement, how do you fix this? And I think I would have liked the episode to maybe push more the idea that there's no right answer to this, but that they make a decision that they think is that's trying to correct the course, because it's still bad no matter what happens. But to, like, stop a religion forming around a Starfleet captain, I think is the right choice, regardless if it is, like, not it is a decision, not the right decision. There is no right decision. Does that make sense?
There's only one right decision, and that's bringing Matt to the stage.
Oh, hello, Mal.
Wow,
Isn't this the
forming
one?
a religion?
Isn't this the one where she's like, look, we've already broken the Prime Directive. I'm going to save this guy, and I can go ahead and erase his memories, and this is all going to be fine. And it's the last mention of, it's the only and last mention of Pulaski.
It's a name check of Pulaski, yes.
Yeah.
Pulaski.
Yeah.
Like, and it's said in sort of a way, like, I didn't like the way it was presented, because it was sort of like they were asking her to do was somehow, like, it seemed disparaging to Pulaski. Like, she created
that
this
was the one thing I
thing,
didn't like.
and
like, I know what Pulaski can do.
it was like disparaging, and I was like,
women against each other.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. Why are we doing that? Yeah. So that one is, hey,
Matt, we're talking about who watches the Watcher.
Hands down, one of the best episodes of all Star Trek.
Damn right.
Hands down.
All right. Well, don't put your hands down. Let's put our thumbs up, if that's the case. Thumbs for this episode.
Okay. You guys sold me.
I'll
go with that just to make it unanimous.
I just want to say, just to jump in here at the very tail end of this,
You're still at the beginning, the tail end of this episode. I want to be very clear for the audience.
Yeah,
we're not very far into this discussion.
Sorry. No, I just mean the tail end of this episode because this is genuinely one of my favorite episodes, and it's his whole speech about like relating them to their ancients who would use bow and arrows. Like it is, I'm sure you guys have already mentioned it, but it is like so perfectly well written. Like the way everything is handled, like him getting shot, watching the one woman die and like humanizing these things that happen on the Enterprise like all the time. Like it was such a good episode. It's still one of the best. And what's his face that is in charge, the leader, I don't remember his name, is like one of the most famous B-list actors,
Ray Wise.
Supporting actors. Yeah. Anyway, I love that episode so much.
It also had really good music, and I thought the cold open was really great when he just says, increase to warp 9. I thought that was just really great. Just his face is dark. His face is like
such a good episode. They did a shitty job turning it into a movie.
Yes.
Right, that's true.
I loved Insurrection.
And they did. I mean, Insurrection.
I am #1 Insurrection boy. And
really,
I will fight. And
I like the idea of it.
No,
well, we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to get on to another thing. I like the idea of it. I just them being like, first contact was too dark. Make this a romance. And I'm
gonna say something I say at work a lot lately. That's a 2024 discussion.
Oh my god!
And I would love to have an entire
light myself on
It's just because it has the sovereign class.
You want to have an insurrection episode?
It is not.
Yes,
I genuinely love Insurrection. And I will not get off on a tangent too much, but I will defend it genuinely. It is even the worst Sovereign movie because it was that first CGI model that was just basically a blur the entire time. So don't even. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So our thumbs were up for this one. All right. Episode 5, The Bonding. When the ship's archaeologist is killed on a mission led by Worf, the Klingon feels responsible for the son she left behind, foreshadowing what a wonderful father Worf would surely be should he ever have kids.
That's a little bit of editorializing, I think.
Seriously though, we're gonna bond. I'm gonna welcome you into my family of complete disregard and
never see you again.
I will
never. Foreshadowing how he would be with his children.
It's a good episode and a nice development for Worf, but in the context of the rest of the series and how shittily he treats Alexander, it's like, what the fuck? Like, so I made that meme where it's like with the guy looking back.
Oh yeah.
He goes, Alexander, some random boy. Like, it's so weird. I have mixed feelings about this because it is a well-written episode and it is an interesting episode for Worf, who at this point didn't have much development other than just the random Klingons.
And
but like,
let's show that whatever alien of the week is serious by taking out Worf.
Yeah, by getting literally thrown across the room 80% of the time. But like, it's just there it is. It would be a good episode. This was my meme, by the way. I thought it was really funny.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's a lot of clicks. I need an executive producer.
There you go. That was my meme. The guy would look back. Alexander, some random boy.
Out of context of this discussion,
it's not great. It's not great. But I was like, I need to whip this up real quick. Yeah.
I was like, don't put this, like, you've got this kid who just lost his mom. He's got an alien that looks like his mom and clearly makes him feel better. And then you've got a room full of other people listing by name and effect all of the people that have died it's like, that's a big, I would be like that kid. I would just be like noping right into the hedge. I'm going with the alien. Like, this is not, how is this supposed to make me feel better?
This is like one of two episodes where like a child bonds with a crew member. Because the other one was the one where the kid bonded with Data. So it's like, is there just an episode? There's always an episode with a crew member having to deal with a child. Like, that's why I would not be on a Galaxy class ship.
But
Yeah, I mean,
not just a child.
I would not be on a fucking starship with children. Fuck
A
that.
child, a grieving child. Like
Yeah.
Absolutely
suddenly we're
not.
thrown into
Yeah.
this like
But
it's
the-
insane to see
the
how
actor was-
but where is that kid 1 week later?
Exactly.
not on the
Exactly.
ship.
Space
He had to
orphanage,
transfer off.
floating through space on a dilapidated birth class. I don't know.
I mean, this was
Who knows?
This is something that it would have been really interesting if he had gone back with the Rashenkos. And so when Alexander gets sent to the Rashenkos, there's more. There could be more to it. It's a missed
what I wanna
opportunity.
I just realized that something that I have never thought about that I really want to see now is in Star Trek Legacy. I want it to be the Rozhenko orphanage. I want them to legitimately be running like
Yes.
an actual orphanage.
Oh my god! All of the children that bonded with Worf that he won't take care of.
I did like the scene where Wesley got to say that he hated Picard.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed that very much. Like,
Yeah.
I hated you for a while because you came back and my dad didn't, because that seemed like a kind of a normal response, although under the circumstances, not, it was like a forced 12-step program suddenly. Like Deanna's going, no, you felt this for a long time. Tell him how you feel. But we're supposed to be dealing with this other kid over here, not that it was like it was all over the place.
Well, I mean, the question is, can you use the plot of the week to move the characters forward? So I think that story where Deanna's saying to Worf, "You've been holding this in for a long time," and Worf is telling this bit, that's our characters, Deanna and Worf, not this kid. So which is an interesting character point, but it's a weakness to the story, right? Because like you're saying, Christy, we're focusing on this kid, and yet we're going to switch over to talking about this character moment. You can't do both, right? And do it well. So,
right.
But I think, overall, the sort of cheesy but emotional line on the Starship Enterprise, "No one is alone." It's an interesting line, but it was
except
cheesy,
for this kid a week later.
right. Go on.
with a holodeck babysitter.
Yeah. Right.
A spoonful of sugar.
All right, let's see those thumbs.
It's a sideways. It's a fine written show, but
get there we go.
3 sideways and
I'm
up
still
and
an
out.
okay.
I'm gonna give that a side.
Yeah, pretty hard side.
The sides have spoken. Episode 6, the booby trap. The Enterprise is caught in a booby trap that captures a ship and converts its energy into lethal levels of radiation.
Doctor,
is this the one where Geordi gets stuck in the
holodeck? Yeah.
This is
Dr. Leah Brahms.
This is
Leah Brahms, the holodeck. Leah Brahms.
So fucking creepy. He's so
that date on the beach is weird.
I
bought this
That
man
is
to
so
play an instrument. Like,
uncomfortable.
girl, no, your best friend's an android.
Warner,
Stop.
I mean, it's like, and Julie Warner was rocking that outfit, and it's like, dude, you are failing. And the violinist, why does he look like he had just escaped from one of the backup players in Peaky Blinders? He's wearing
That's weird.
gypsy
I like the premise
garb
of the episode. This being a Geordi-centric love story is weird. I think if this was like, if this was done on like Voyager, where I think like they dealt more with like the idea of like, oh, is this hologram? Is it sentient? Like, is this a life form now? Because he falls in love with the character of Leia Brahm. It's his hologram. It makes an interesting thing later.
Yeah.
But like on its own, it does seem a little creepy.
The execution was rough for me because like falling in love with a holodeck character, that's interesting, right? The computer getting her actual personality wrong, learning that later, interesting. But the hologram returning affection for him, even slightly, so weird, ridiculous choice. How could the computer have programmed that? Like, he may not have known that she was married, but the computer would have when incorporating her profile. So like just weird. And like,
Just
odd.
the
Like,
shoulder massage, the whole step up and do the
yeah,
shoulder.
Yeah.
Just like,
she could have been physical. She could have been like not a shoulder massage, but like, hey, we're gonna get through this. Like,
Yeah.
right.
lighter stuff. Like it was the execution that made it more creepy.
I always thought
Well,
the way they treated the holodeck on this show ever since season 1, where they said, give us, program a villain that could defeat Data, and then they create Moriarty. And so this whole idea that this holodeck could create these practically sentient things is just, I think, stepping a bit too far. I never liked how they treated the holodeck on the Next Generation.
The funny thing is, it's so weird to see the evolution of the holodeck on Next Gen, because you go from, remember Picard first walking in, automobiles, and they're here, and oh my God, what is going on? Like, and then all of a sudden we jump to the computer is now sophisticated enough to do these advanced algorithms to not only trick you that you are still on the holodeck, it is so realistic, but it is also now created this sentient being that can outstrip Data and can understand all of the computer. Like, the breadth of what the holodeck does on TNG is astounding, which is really nice.
And
that, like, it's hammered out.
And in a counter at 4 point, Data is clearly able to see the walls of the holodeck
Right.
all the time, right? So it's just crazy. Inconsistent storytelling.
The ethics of the holodeck, obviously, they didn't figure out, and it's an interesting. If TNG were coming out today, it would be an interesting allegory for the AI discussion. Is like,
well, even like parasocial relationships online, where it's like you develop a relationship with someone who might not. It's not real. It's a persona. So it could be tackled differently. Right. I just think at the time, like, I love the premise of the ship getting stuck and him having to figure it out and having to talk to the woman who designed the engines, which I love, was really cool. But like the Geordi's relationship with her is weird. And then the ending where they're like, oh yeah, blow it up. Like, you got out of it, set a buoy that's like, hey, don't come over here. No,
just
fire.
Look at it.
The only time Worf fires torpedoes that actually hit a target, and it's this priceless artifact. It's fucking stupid. I'm just like, God, really?
Yeah,
blow it the fuck. Picard wouldn't have done that. He'd be like, no, we have to stop them from the buoy or something. Tell people to get away, or like, contact fucking Starfleet and be like, we have to get ships out here to study this. Here's how you get out of this fucking thing. Yeah. But no. Fire 75 photon torpedoes at it. Because it fires one and then it like clusters out, which is cool. But it's like, why? Why? The thing was 1,000 years old. They could have thrown a rock at it and it would have blown up. Anyway, I had strong feelings apparently.
Let's see
they
those
do
thumbs.
mention that it's just as advanced as the Enterprise.
No, sideways.
Yeah.
It's sideways.
I kind of like it.
Can't see. There we go.
All
you
right.
like it? That's good. It's interesting. It's the
side.
first of a couple runs of Geordi LaForge episodes.
Yeah, the next one for sure.
Trying to highlight
episode 7, The Enemy. After Geordi is stranded on a storm-ravaged planet, the crew's attempts to rescue him are hindered by an aggressive Romulan warship.
Cameo of our cave. Yeah.
Yes.
Cave cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Another water feature.
Yes, weird water feature.
Water feature.
They sure do.
Creating daggers.
This is one of the ones that get the Romulans kind of right. Most of the time, TNG gets the Romulans wrong, and this one it's kind of okay.
Yeah. I like this one actually. I think it's a good Geordi episode, and it's not one where he's like being a creep or like having to like do some bullshit. It was a good. I think it's a good episode. I like this one.
It's a fun Geordi one.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's really fun because he handles the Romulans so perfectly when they first meet, where he's like, "Do it. The fuck you gonna do? Like, go ahead. I'm Starfleet, and you are clearly not the commanding officer." And he's just like, "Go to hell."
Yeah, you're clearly a Centurion. Get over it. Yeah.
Yeah, like he is not threatened whatsoever, and is human. And I do really appreciate that like confidence that we see of Geordi. Of like, this is a Romulan. I'm not. I'm good.
Yeah,
I also like how the blindness discussion.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
how on Romulus that would not have been allowed. I don't love how Trek sometimes makes monoliths out of the alien of the week, including some that we've seen before. But it was a good way of framing how blindness in the 24th century is not the hindrance that it is today, which by the way is handling it better in this episode than Star Trek has handled it in other episodes. When we talk about season 1, that's one of the things about a few of those episodes that I dislike is woof. But in this one, it's really
it has
good
mixed
stuff.
reviews with disabilities. Star Trek is mixed, but this one they treat disabilities pretty well.
They kind of doubled down on it too, because Geordi is obviously blind, but then they made the other guy effectively disabled to walk, like his
and it was Geordi's visor that
and
it was Geordi's visor that got them out of the problem.
Right.
I think they also tried to. Isn't this the one where they need Worf to donate blood, and he stands on business and says,
and he says, "Nope, I'm racist and won't do that."
Nope, out. I'm not doing that. And
I don't know if it's a racist thing, but anyway.
Well, it's
what's interesting is
again, it's that
that's pretty racist to me.
It's that story that they do with him consistently, where it's, you know, the headbutting of his own internal heritage, Klingon versus
the Romulans
human. The human response would be to just go ahead and give the blood. My response to, like, when I was watching it, I was like, I'm really surprised that he didn't say, I understand that you would prefer to die, which is why I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to donate this, and I'm going to enjoy thinking about you living with my shit inside of you for the rest of your like not dying. That would have made more sense to me than just, you know.
The show was originally written that Worf was going to donate. And Michael Dorn said, my character would not do this. I'm not going to do it. Worf would not donate to the Romulans based on the character's backstory. So they rewrote it based on what Michael Dorn was suggesting. And Michael Dorn, you know, remember, Worf's parents were killed. His Klingon parents were killed by the Romulans.
No, I get the whole. I get the.
I know the backstory. That doesn't change that it's racist to hate all Romulans because of what a few did to your family.
His crewmates were pointing out very valid things, like this doesn't, it unfortunately doesn't have anything to do with, but I mean, if you're in that mindset, my mindset would have immediately gone, it would be better to go ahead and infuse you with my stank so that you could just live with it, live with the knowledge that it's in you. And if you want to take
the other thing to keep in mind is in the Star Trek history, the Romulans and the Klingons had an alliance, which is why there were Klingon ships used by the Romulans in season 3 of the original series. And then the Romulans betrayed the Klingons and broke that alliance. So that's part of it. And then also the attack on Khitomer. So it's more than just that one incident where his parents are killed. It's the Romulans and the Klingons have a history of hating each other because of broken truces and all this other kind of stuff.
But I mean, Worf isn't really isn't necessarily attached to that. I mean, his connection is just that they killed his parents. So his connection is not necessarily to that, but it does make Worf sound really bad. Because if he was a Starfleet officer, he would have been like, it's my duty to save them, you know, like the idea that this could maybe spark an alliance or something like that. But him being like, nah, fuck all the Romulans. I'm like, girl,
the honorable thing to do would be to save him.
Yeah, that's.
But here's the thing, though.
I think the Rashenkos raised him better. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
they were in that orphanage, and he was not raised better. No way.
Look at it the other, and I will. This is one of. Put this down. I'm agreeing with Ken that Worf is such a caricature and so desperate to be Klingon that of course he would be like, of course I'm not going to do that. Even if in the back of his mind, he's like, I should really do this. Like the Federation would want
joke
this
too, that he's like the most Klingon and he wasn't.
And
most Klingons are like they're like,
or
what
he
the fuck
thinks
are you
he
doing?
is.
Just like,
he's the most caricature of the Klingons
Yeah.
because he has no idea how to do it because he was never raised by him. And so that's why part of me is like, of course he didn't give it to the Romulans because he doesn't want another reason for people not to like him as a Klingon.
So we all agree Worf sucks. Let's get those thumbs for the enemy.
It's thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Sideways. Thumbs up.
All right, it's a thumbs up. Episode 8. I referenced this in the tweets for the week. Counselor Troy is done dirty by this episode and swept off her feet by a dashing delegate that uses unethical methods of conduct in his business aboard the USS Enterprise. This
All
is
I
a
can
really
say-
bad
Counselor
description of this.
Troy's
I am-
false for a slut.
Yeah.
I was stunned to see that in addition to the many things that he did, that Jeffrey Epstein found time to
Oh my God.
take a role in the Star Trek franchise. I can't with this. It's just creepy. It's just gaslighty. It's creepy. The sheets on the bed are plastic. I can't deal with the metallic.
Well, listen, let's not kink shame.
Like, no, they're like, it's like noisy material. Like you can hear it. It's noisy.
It's a specific type of it's a really cheap metallic fabric. It's funny that I know this. It's like it's three-way stretch fabric, and like drag queens love to make stuff out of this, and it's like a spandex polyethylene,
Like, how do we make something look futuristic?
But it's disgusting because it's heavy, but it's like this spandex. It's disgusting fabric. It's
so,
absolutely awful, and it's like you would not want to sleep on that. You would not.
No, and then like it's the massage oil and it's weird. I just felt it was like completely. It just didn't seem like Deanna at all. It just seemed like this kind of
it's a terrible episode. It's a bad episode.
It's just awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah,
the guest star is really cheesy. Matt McCoy, whatever his name is. Just blah.
This is one
Dark
of those
hair,
episodes where
blue
I think
eyes.
we should. This is one of those episodes where I think we should do a fix it salon. Where we take a couple of episodes that we give thumbs down, which I assume is what's about to happen. Not to
Thumbs down.
Yeah, not to sway any votes here, but how to fix it, because her being swept off her feet. Chris, are you getting drunk over there? What's going on?
Clinking with empties over there. Damn, sister.
All the empties.
It's just the floor. Her husband's away, and the floor is just littered with empty beer cans. Damn, diva.
I'm sorry.
She's just wading through it up to her ankles. Just
Clinking with empties. You hear her get up and just.
Krista,
She's
don't get me
kicking
wrong,
cans
this is
around.
not
Oh my
this isn't a
God,
criticism.
Krista.
Our next show
When you
is
move.
Real Housewives of Star Trek. We're all just
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is a
What?
brilliant
Right.
idea.
Stars.
I'm
Catch your
telling
face
you.
is just stunned.
that
Oh my
is
God.
genius.
Oh God.
And
I need
it's
to give you a catch.
yep.
Oh my Real Housewives of Star Trek catchphrase.
When he's away on a mission.
No, that's
there's-
gross.
There's something about like when he's on an away mission. We'll workshop it later. But going about this episode.
Bajor's not the only planet that's got a wormhole. That's me.
What? Who are these
The only
problematic
one-
tailors?
Oh, never mind. Anyway, let's keep going.
There's a
Meow,
Come
meow,
on.
meow. Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
All right. So back to the price. But actually
Not right. The price is not right. 2 thumbs down. No Plinkos here.
The thing about this episode is I love a Troy episode, obviously, but the fact that she learns fairly early on what he's up to and says nothing is very antithetical to who that character is as a Starfleet officer, as a counselor, as a friend to Will and former lover. Like insane. So let's see those thumbs down.
Except he is very attractive.
The idea is nice, but just like in like a modern context, it's like, God, it's so fucking gross. The kind of sexual politics that happen aren't interesting. It's just like, ugh.
And like, listen, using sexuality as a weapon, let's have that story, but like, let's do it well.
But she doesn't
Let's not-
defeat him. She
Yeah.
doesn't defeat him. It's like, oh, the wormhole's not usable, so now he just goes away. And it's
Right.
like, you're a fucking monster.
She at the very end is like, by the way, he's been
Wait.
using his impact.
Wait. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I
No,
will.
Okay.
different world.
Canada,
Never
we're on the same
mind.
page.
No, the best
'Cause-
part about this episode was the Ferengi.
Yeah.
They were fucking hysterical.
Speaking
No,
of
this
characters,
is
Wait, which
the
episode?
This is the episode. Wait, okay, we do have to pause on this episode for one thing, though. The best thing to happen in this episode was a setup to a fantastic Voyager episode.
Yeah.
That was when they.
active, but interesting.
Interesting episode. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
It was fun. I loved
It was
that
fun.
Voyager
It was
episode.
definitely fun. I just don't know that I would say fantastic.
You had Leslie Jordan as a Ferengi.
All right.
that's-
R.I.P.
All right.
Well, shit.
Well,
What
shit.
y'all doing?
What y'all?
Well,
My favorite thing,
shit.
Spotify Wrapped is a thing. Sorry, get over it. But somebody was posting a Leslie Jordan clip. I can't. I don't want to.
Leslie Jordan was the best.
Because
Leslie
it's-
Jordan was on a Boston Legal. He was great.
Yeah.
Who did he play on that?
A lawyer.
He played a love interest of Betty White. Imagine that.
Played a
What a
love
cast
interest.
that was. Betty White and Leslie Jordan. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I want that. I
yeah.
want the clip of her giving me the finger. I want that. I want that. I want that as. I want that as a screensaver. Anyway.
Episode 9, The Vengeance Factor. The crew's attempts to mediate a violent dispute between warring clans with a C are sabotaged by a mysterious assassin.
Oh, this one was interesting.
What was it? Paella a la Utah.
Yeah.
A la Utah.
The cold open was a good Beverly moment for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and give myself a Beverly alert for that. Again, the perpetual one came down, so my apologies.
I liked that she figured out that it was she scienced and figured out that it was a murder. But I liked the whole aspect of it being like the call is coming from inside the house.
Mhm.
The call
Yeah.
is coming from inside the house. And I like Prowler Riker. Like he's just tell me what you really like to cook.
Yeah, he comes on to everybody without being a creep. Like,
Riker.
I'm hard pressed to think of a moment where Riker was
It's not
being a creep.
No, he's just like, oh, she's cute.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't creepy. It wasn't like Geordie. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that.
This is one of a few episodes this season that deal with terrorists and stuff. There's a lot of terrorism in this season.
Yeah. No, this was a bit.
And the Sovereign, where have I know throughout the entire thing, I knew I had seen her somewhere where she played almost exactly the
Porky's.
same character. Is it
Porky's.
It is Porky's.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nancy Parsons.
Oh, yeah. That's
I
where
was
she
like,
is.
she
Yeah,
was
she's some
genius. She was just so.
She was genius in Porky's. And I would watch this episode, I'm like, can't stop thinking of Porky's.
I could
Wow.
not stop
Those movies
thinking
were
of this
insane.
other role. And
I watched this as a kid.
For
Like, my
Fortune.
mom had
We call that
no filter on
typecasting.
us. And it
Oh,
was,
really?
yeah. And it was never weird to me. There was never any content that was off limits.
And the whole like Mad Max cosplay of the Gatherer guys running
I
around
loved it.
with the excessive chest hair. I mean, I was just like, wow,
2 seats on the council.
this is just. I loved this episode because it was just so absurd.
Yeah.
It was absurd. But the Porky's, Mrs. Miss Bomb, what was her name in Porky's? Ballbreaker was the nickname.
Yeah. Beluga.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what this is? What are we doing?
Let's see those Porkies.
And it's a thumbs up. This one's weird. I like it. It's a
All
dumb
right,
one.
give it a thumbs
I
up.
like
There we
The
go.
Porky's
It's a
Connection
thumbs
does
up.
it. Yeah.
I believe the Vengeance Factor got a. Anyway.
All right, the defector,
You can't do it,
episode
Matt.
10. A
You're
Romulan
powerless.
defector leads the crew into a showdown that could erupt into full-scale war.
Another episode that got the Romulans right.
So I just watched this one last night, actually. It just randomly was on my, I forgot how good it was.
Mhm.
It was, I mean, you will never, I even had to rip Jared away from his phone because that last scene, the setup to the last scene with the Klingons,
Mhm.
it's so good. And Picard, straight up looking at him and saying, well, we're going to die together. you want to do this today? You really want to do this? This is the flagship of the Federation with, such a good episode. Such a good episode.
This one's good. This is an episode where I'll rewatch it and I kind of don't remember where it goes. And I'm like, each time I'm like, how does this? I'm like trying to remember. Like it's written so well that I forget. I don't know. Like it's not forgettable, but like the way it's written, I kind of like have amnesia when I watch it because I rewatched this
because
not
it's so
long ago.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's really great. And I always forget. Oh yeah, is he telling the truth or not? Because it's a brilliant performance. It's well written. The Romulans are at least interesting in this, where they're not like I would say like the Borg or the Klingons, where once they're in the show more, they kind of get spoiled. I feel like we get just enough Romulans where they're still interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating episode. It's a really great episode, and it's a good performances from people all kind of all the way around. It's just a good Star Trek episode.
You get some nice recurrence. It's the first of Tomalak who has some nice recurrence.
He's in the last episode. He's in the last Romulan one.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. So you see Tomalak a few times. But the one thing I love what you're talking about, Matt, is that when he says, "And you shall have it," and you see the Klingon birds of prey decloak around the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
But what I the cloaking device originally was a Romulan thing, right? So for the Romulans to be caught off guard by decloaking Klingon ships was an interesting thing to see happen. But it was a great finale, and you shall have it. Yeah,
it's good,
and it's so good. I also love that they didn't slip into that, like, oh, one person starts to believe him and like go down that. Like it was the whole time. It was actually a logical. No one trusted him. No one had a reason to trust him. It wasn't like, oh, we feel bad because we're the Federation and this is a defector. Like there was never anybody that was really pushing for that. Everyone was like, I don't know. Like it was so true and authentic to everyone, and no one was the emotional scapegoat. I love that episode.
It's a great example. I'm going to put on my nerd hat here for a second. Of like,
for a second,
in Shakespeare, in when you study Shakespeare, none of your character is not described. You have to read and listen to what other people say about your character. And this is a good example of that because they never outright say that the Romulans can't be trusted. It's like their actions are like, oh, we can't trust you. But there's never any time like you believe that the Romulans can't be trusted, not because they're telling you this, but everyone's actions are kind of building the character of the Romulans more. They flesh it out more. But like we've had Romulans before, but not in this. They've always kind of like appeared been kind of like mustache twirly and disappear. And this one, they're like, these people are deceitful. They lie to us. They do these things. And it's like, this could be a trap. You could be working with Kunluk. It's like, none of this makes any sense. And it's like, I love that's it's just well written because it's a good example of how character is developed in a show, because it's not Thank you so much, Joanne. I'm weaponizing my Shakespeare degree, but it's a good example of that. And like, it makes me want that more because sometimes I feel like now we get a lot of like, here's our character, we do this. And it's like, no, that's not what character is.
But we also get that really great quote from Picard when he's sitting there in the debriefing or in the briefing room. And he's like, it's always a chess game with them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you can never not be second guessing whatever their motive is because they're always trying to fuck you over. Like, there's just something so perfectly Romulan about the whole episode.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing a thumbs down on this one.
Across the board, thumbs down.
Yeah.
No, it's a great episode. This is like one of those episodes of Star Trek I make people watch when they want to get into it.
Yeah. That
all right, we gotta speed along here with a few of these next ones. Number 11, The Hunted. The Enterprise is bombarded by boarded? Anyway, the Enterprise is bombarded by a soldier who is the victim of government mind control, which turns him into a violent killer.
Yep, another weird one.
I'm going to say sideways, although great troll moments.
Yeah, it's got good troll moments.
Sideways.
All right, episode 12, The High Ground. Dr. Crusher's abduction by a radical
Beverly
terrorist
episode
thrusts the crew into an explosive civil war on Rutia 4.
This is a good one.
I love this episode.
This is a good episode. This is a really good Bev episode.
Right, thumbs up.
Beverly alert.
Beverly alert. This is a great one.
I especially like that they were they had sort of concluded on what wig. Because like up into this,
Yeah.
it was like real short.
Yeah,
and
her
real
wig in the
long,
first
and it was-
episode's
it
not
was
great.
Like, it's
That
like
coiffed mushroom she's got.
what?
Yeah.
And then 2 episodes later, it's shoulder length, and then it's back to chin length.
Yeah.
I'm like, this was a good one. I liked this one.
This is a good one.
And it's the
a
first
good
time we get. Isn't it the first time we get? There's something I've been meaning to
Yes.
tell you. Is this the first
Yeah.
instance of there's?
Mhm.
So this is the first suggestion that maybe there still is something going on after it just being all doctor time. And I liked that Picard was willing to exploit her. Like nobody says anything about the fact that he's willing to exploit her in terms of like eye candy to get the the dude who's obviously crushing on her.
No, he's hot. He's hot.
And I thought he was hot too.
They had hot male co-stars in this.
I really did not have a problem with him at all. I was like, can we do something with this? But no.
Yeah.
No, this one was good.
He was an artist.
Yeah.
God, if somebody,
good drawing.
The original Draw Me Like Your French Girl.
It really was. It was.
Draw me in a good wig. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is a good one. This is a big up.
Episode 13, Deja Q. The crew was surprised by the appearance of their mischievous nemesis Q, which explains this is the one where he loses his powers.
Yeah.
He loses his powers. Yep, it's very bewitched.
It's a horrible pain. Maybe you're hungry. It's horrible pain. I don't understand. I
liked it. Thumbs up.
We get a good Guinan where she stabs him with the fork. Seems.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. We do get a Guinan. Anytime she like put this or the gun, that's funny.
Fork weapons.
I think number 2.
Fork weapons. Thumbs up.
And the red alert.
It's still a sideways. I think we're crossing into them bringing Q back too much to where he's not threat. He's just kind of like, I'm your goofy uncle who showed up and he's just sleeping off for the weekend. It's like kind of
not yet. I think this was a good one. I give it a thumbs up.
I would definitely give this a thumbs up.
Okay,
Krista, where were you at? Okay,
well, that's a thumbs up.
Sideways, but the fork weapons.
That's a good moment.
Made the turn for me. I love this next one.
And the mariachi band.
A matter of perspective. Riker is suspected of murdering a respected scientist who had accused the Enterprise officer of seducing his wife.
This is a big up for me. I love this episode.
A big up.
I do. I love it. I love how he's slut shamed. I love it. Oh, they're like, you're a space whore. You killed my wife. This episode's good. I like this episode. And it all turns out it was all just a big fuck up. I love it. It's a thumbs up. I love it.
Nobody questioned that he would make a move on the wife. Like it was not.
Yeah, it's like
everybody was like, I could see.
I see.
Like funny. He wouldn't. I'm saying make a move, not.
I find it stressful. Yeah,
I find it stressful. The thing about this episode that gets me is this is one of those episodes that is like, okay, having respect for every aspect of an alien culture doesn't necessarily make sense because the way that the legal system here works is like, listen, if she remembers enough details for us to create a holographic representation, that's admissible.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry, what? Like, no. The episode ends with like, in light of this new evidence that you all just told me about, and it's in light of this movie you just showed me, I'm going to dismiss my threat. I'll give it a thumbs up still because it is a overall great episode, but like the legality of it.
I'm just saying, expect problems if you go planet side to a planet that has 3 inhabitants and 2 are women and 1 is a man and one of them is married.
Yeah,
it's like
you can't turn a throuple. You can't turn a throuple
to an
NTV. You can't do it.
Had to know there were going to be problems.
A tricycle into NTV.
Yeah, and listen, a devil's 3-way is not the beginning of a.
As someone who has had a throuple, I can tell.
I don't know.
Much more.
Oh God.
Someone who's had a throuple? Jeez, man.
We had a throuple for a while.
I was in one and they divorced because of me.
Good job. Episode 15. Universally reviled episode, I think. Yesterday's Enterprise. The course of history is altered when a time rift brings the Starship Enterprise from the past into the present with a crew that includes Tasha Yar. Dun,
All I
dun,
have
dun.
to say,
Here, Ben, is a TOS kind of episode.
this is one of the most entertaining for the backstory element of no one could replicate the big puffy collars that was under those monster maroons.
Yeah.
So that's why just no one had them, because the props or the costume wardrobe department couldn't replicate them. They couldn't figure out how to do it. And so they
Yeah.
just said, okay, to hell with it. We're not putting them under.
It was going to take them too long to make it. They were like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is bullshit. And the ones that they had were, I think they were destroyed. So the ones that were previously, the people were like, I'm not wearing this fucking thing. So then they're like, yeah, just put them in the, yeah.
The
They couldn't
monster
make them.
maroons without the turtleneck. Yeah.
Yeah, like Aaron
They're so
Radke
ugly.
was talking about when he was talking about how there are so many uniforms, he's like, there's a lot of precedent for it. And this is a
Mhm.
great example of like, yeah, there were two variants in this episode based on the need of the production. But yeah, why the hell not? In a future when scarcity no longer exists, fashion, make it fashion. New uniforms every week. Let's do it.
I hate the monster maroons.
I
hate
love
those
the
uniforms.
sound design in this episode because
Yeah.
It's
the
very good.
The doors are the original series sounding doors, only in this episode, which I thought was really cool. Another
I
little
also
thing
love
like that.
the intercom of like, now hear this, battle drills will begin at whatever. Like really made it feel more of a militaristic vibe, wartime.
It does kind of set a good contrast between like Starfleet of that universe and this one, where it's like, oh, they're not really the military. They're like a different, something almost completely different.
And I will also open up a can of lighting worms here. If you're gonna go dark, this is the way to do it. You can still see shit, but it's darker.
A lot of underlighting.
Season 3,
Because they did it a
Strange New Worlds. Light, so people can see shit.
Yeah.
Discovery, all of it.
yeah.
All of just all
A lot of smoke.
All
But
of
just-
this
yeah.
memory.
Because they lit it, especially in this the still that we have from the episode, it's a diffuse overhead light with smoke. So what they did is it's probably just one good LED, one good light, and then they just filled it with smoke. And when you have smoke in a oh god, theater nerd moment. We have smoke in a room, and the particles of smoke actually refract the light, so it will take a single light and make it look brighter and fill a space, which is really cool.
When you have smoke is the only time you should use the overhead light.
That's great.
Otherwise, never, ever, ever pull that string.
Don't turn on the big light.
Never turn on the big light.
Great.
Thank God.
Thumbs, please.
Jared uses big lights.
Divorce him.
We're not-
Divorce.
They're not married. That's easy enough.
I literally go around and switch everything. I have a set, like exactly what should be on what intensity. Like you can see, like I'm very lighting focused, and he will just go around and flip overhead lights on, and it's so stressful.
Oh yeah. I only use them in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah.
It's because I need
Well.
to see what I'm chopping. Anyway.
Thumbs.
Thumbs up. Boom, 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 boom.
That's
a good episode.
Episode 16, The Offspring. Data
Oh.
becomes a father when he creates an android using a transfer of his own neural programming.
Heartbreaking episode.
This is
Heartbreaking.
the
Jonathan
only,
Red
Frakes.
chick.
Jonathan
the
Frakes
only
directorial
Star
premiere.
Trek episode I have ever cried.
Mhm.
The only
It still
but
makes
let's-
me sad. It still makes me really
sobbed
sad.
at the end.
Let's
I
point
thought
out
it
that
was-
what Ken just said too. It was his This was his debut. It
Mhm.
never went downhill. It has always. You bring Jonathan Frakes into this, and you're gonna have a good fucking episode.
it
And
was
he
Yeah.
started out
fantastic.
strong and went, "I will teach you how to do this."
Yeah.
He's so
Kept
good with
going.
the
And he's like the
emotional.
Energizer Buddy.
Oh,
The Energizer Riker.
I thought
He's
that-
good at getting the person directing and shooting the emotional stuff, but also the
action and everything.
the action of it. Yeah. Which is
He's
a
in
real.
Columbus right now.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh, because he's
Are you going?
GalaxyCon, right?
GalaxyCon. No, I have too many plans this weekend.
I have to show you guys I'll have to find it. But for my brother, for his my wedding present for him, I bought a cameo from Jonathan Frakes, and he did I don't know if I think I told you the story, but he talked for like an hour about what it's like to have a successful marriage, and then didn't take my payment. He returned it to me. So he gave
Really?
he gave it to me. Yeah, he's a lovely gentleman. And he said I was like, I don't know what to tell him, like in terms of like what it's like to be a husband and stuff, but you've been married to Jeannie Francis since the dawn of time. What happened? He's just kind of it's a really lovely message about how you have a good marriage and you let people do things and you're like supportive. And it's a very lovely like 30-minute message of him just talking.
I know you didn't really
Wow.
I love that the way you frame that story is like calling him old. And
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, he's had a very long, successful marriage with two people who have very strong careers.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, how do you do that? And he said, your brother wrote a very nice message. And it's very, I'll have to ask my brother for it. It's very cute.
We're going to need to get you an autograph in STLV with him so you can have that moment.
So I can have that until you said you did this for my
Oh,
brother.
absolutely.
He's a lovely man. He's a lovely man. Anyway.
He's a great guy.
The Offspring.
I've never
Thumbs
met
up.
him personally yet, but soon. The Offspring, all thumbs up.
This is a great episode. And I also love that
The
they
actress
used
who played Lal was fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Great,
Oh,
yeah.
The way she did that.
So
Oh my
good.
god.
Yeah.
And then it's sad because
And-
he goes, I've never seen his someone's hands move that quickly when he's trying to like
Yeah.
save her.
Yeah.
And it's like, but
Oh,
he has
don't even-
the episode just makes me sad because it's like he has no emotions, but does. It's
Yeah, but
like
there were funny parts
incredible.
where she was like, "Oh, he is eating her face." No,
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
Yeah.
that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
He's
Yeah.
like
And as a
just
side
the
note,
disconnect is so lovely.
It is the only appearance, even though it's very, very brief, of an Andorian in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yep.
Yeah.
They use the original TOS
Yeah.
makeup and everything, that costume.
Yeah.
Was bad.
That
But-
green, and it was green. not
It's
blue.
great because like
It's
alien
green.
race that isn't monolithic. Yes. Speaking of an alien race not being monolithic, something that gets derided but shouldn't, Klingons. They look different and it's fine because they should. There should be purple and gray ones. Anyway, episode 17, Sins of the worst segue ever. Klingon stuff, Sins of the Bottle. Here we go. When his long-lost brother appears on the Enterprise, Worf is thrust into a life-or-death battle for his family's honor.
Gotta love that thrusting.
Ugh. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, thumbs down for that.
I
This
like
one,
the
I
actor
give it a
who
thumbs
plays his
up.
brother.
Yeah, Tony Todd's fantastic.
Yeah, I know he's great in this. Yeah.
More Klingon than Worf ever is.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a great episode. Sins of the Father is a great episode, in my opinion.
Why?
Thumbs up. Why? Because
Why
I
did
think
you
the
do
character
that,
of
Matt?
Kern, I think
You're
Kern is
so
very
close to being able
strong.
to just move quickly through this one, and you had to kick the horse.
This episode won an Emmy for art design.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay.
For the dried, dead, replicated bird meat.
Yes. Oh, that's from this episode. That's fun.
Thanksgiving in the future. Here's an Emmy.
Yeah.
Thumbs.
I'm gonna give it a sideways.
Thumbs up.
I
I think
that's
it's a side. It's a sideways.
I think it definitely establishes a lot of interesting characters and carries through not just the Next Generation, but into this Deep Space Nine.
And
That's
yet-
true.
Yeah,
It
yes,
is. It
you're
does.
still-
It's a
in
very
this too.
formative.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Episode
It's a very
18,
formative.
Allegiance. Without the crew's knowledge, Captain Picard is kidnapped and replaced by an evil imposter.
Can I read the Google
camp.
description real quick? Unbeknownst
Please.
to the crew, Captain Picard is kidnapped and replaced by an alien imposter who orders the Enterprise off course, leads the crew in drinking songs, and makes a pass at Dr. Crusher. I think that pretty
That is
much covers the
also-
whole.
That was it.
That's
Yeah.
actually
That was the
a pretty good
episode.
description. That's everything that happened.
Yeah. This episode
Okay.
camp.
Yeah.
Camp.
Yes.
I think this
High
episode
camp.
for me sort of solidified this one and the one where he recites the at Troy in an upcoming episode. This is like the season where Patrick Stewart was like, but I want people to remember I'm a real actor.
Yeah. It's a good Picard
I'm an
episode.
actual
And it's
actor.
camp. It's a
Yeah.
what do we
They make him a literal cock tease.
literally, yeah. And it's like, oh, it's funny when they're like, he's too fun. He must be evil. Like that's always funny to me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Picard's too fun.
Yeah.
This man's evil.
I-
What
I-
happened
I
here?
love that progression because it's like, wait a minute. Like, if they had started with him trying to divert the ship into a dangerous place, like, it would have been like, wait a minute. They figured out too quickly.
Yeah.
But then they'll like, wait a minute. Why is he Why is he having fun with the crew? Something's amiss.
No, if this was a,
Well, and also they're like,
this was a lower decks episode, he'd be like in the just like having a party in like Penn Forward or something.
have you noticed anything strange? And everybody's saying, and they all look at Beverly, and she's like, well,
Yeah.
we had a candle at dinner, and then she doesn't tell the most important part. I'm like, oh, you tease.
Oh, she knew.
Thumbs up, everybody.
This is a dumb episode, and I love it. I love it.
But I do
love it.
still, no matter how
Where's your
much.
thumb?
Sideways.
Fair enough. All right,
I like
episode
to just
19,
wait.
Captain's
Hold on, I
Holiday.
like.
While on
Wait.
vacation, Picard becomes entangled in a search for a missing
Wait, the
weapon.
next one's going to be a
from the
big
future.
conversation, though. Captain's Holiday is a big conversation.
Yeah, let's get into it.
That
Gosh.
one, hands down one of my favorite because we get Vosh, who is also hands down one of my favorite characters in all of Star Trek.
You and Krista
But-
fight.
I
I'm
fucking
being
love
clear.
Vosh. Love Vosh.
Okay.
She is my Bev, but this sets up so many things, and I
Okay,
love it.
whoever is smashing those keyboards, if you want to mute yourself,
Sorry.
you're ready to talk.
You gotta stop. Yeah.
Ken still has his
Ken's
Windows
fine,
95
police
keyboard.
reporter.
Yeah,
Something.
while
I
you're
was
in
like-
that Facebook comment section, go ahead and mute yourself.
It's
please.
the worst chilies
I was
I've
literally like, it was like war drums. Like, who's doing war drums right now? Like, Matt and I are really gonna go at it.
He's just taking down
It's war
local
drums.
I like it.
restaurants on Yelp right now. I love that for Ken. I
I
love
haven't-
that.
I'm sorry, Ken. That was just so funny.
It's a work text. Sorry guys, there's nothing.
I
to do
know
with
we're
it.
just giving you shit, Ken.
This is the worst chili.
I
I've
just
ever
haven't heard of
Too.
Packard
I've been to
Bell
many
keyboard.
chilies. This is the worst one.
Dear Mr. Chili's.
Bob
I don't know,
Chili, I'm
you know-
coming for you.
For me, this one with him on a like, I had respect for a guy who goes to a resort and he like brings books because that's what I do. So
But dresses
I
like a
had-
complete slut.
Wait,
Without the
but wait,
without
I had
the
respect
body
for it.
hair out, his bulge just out for
But
everyone.
hold
Picard was
on.
looking for it.
I
am-
Cruising,
this-
mama.
I'm not here.
This one-
Cruising.
This one traumatized me because it was like the first time I remember seeing my dad in like a Speedo where I was just like, oh no, no, no. And it seared in my brain. And so this one was like, I just couldn't take it seriously because he's walking around in some kind of like 1950s, middle class businessman vacation outfit with his fucking hat and the whole thing. And I was just like, I can't. And then I can't. No.
Wait, what is the B plot?
There.
What's happening on the Enterprise?
A hologram, apparently, or whatever that.
No, but what was happening on the
don't think
Enterprise?
there's a
Was there
B plot.
anything?
No, there is no
Did we-
B plot.
No,
Mm-mm.
it's just
Okay.
It's just
Because we see them
no, it's just it's all this is a fully A plot episode.
So okay,
It's not
that's what
really a
threw
B
me
plot.
off. I couldn't remember because I love in the very beginning. It's one of my favorites because I always love when the crew comes together against the captain, and in like a positive way because it's like everyone knows he needs a vacation and everyone plays their part, and we get that beautiful moment with Deanna on the bridge where she's like, "Oh, I didn't tell you the great news. My mother's gonna be here and joining us," and like.
He's like, "Oh,
I-
bye." Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, "All right, I'm gone. We're done." Oh god, I love this episode so much. I love this episode. We get, I believe, isn't it Rom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I don't remember his
But
name
not
is-
Rom.
Yeah, no, he's
yeah,
not-
it's not
yeah.
Rom, but I mean, it's Max
yeah,
Groencheck,
Max
yeah.
something.
Max something
It's a
or
fun episode. It's just like
I
I
love
love the fashions of like Picard's like, I'm on a holiday. Here's short shorts and a kimono. It's like, what the fuck
Yeah.
are you
Looks.
in my books? Yeah, my old books.
Let's see
I
those
love it.
thumbs.
It's an up because it's camp and it's stupid.
It's so good. It's so good.
Let's see those thumbs, Kenneth.
Sorry. I'm getting work requests.
Ken's double duty over here.
No
Listen,
worries.
Dad has
Episode
things to do.
20. Episode 20, Tin Man.
Matt,
The
Dad
crew
is
is thrust into a deadly showdown with the Romulans over a newly discovered life form in a remote star system. I'll kick this off. I loved this episode. I love the idea of
No.
a Betazoid having their powers right away, and like how the fuck, like how does that fuck with you? His ability to like, Matt has a lot of aggressive feelings, or he's shitting in his captain's chair. Could be both. Could be both. Everybody quiet. He's taking a dump. He can't go while we're talking at him.
Okay, we're good.
You got I always found this episode interesting. I love any episode that Troy gets a moment. There's good stuff with Data. There's good stuff with the Romulans without ever actually really seeing the Romulans other than the ships. Yeah, it's a thumbs up for me.
It's a thumbs up for me too. I think it's a good episode. I don't like the actor.
No,
I think he's awful in this. But like,
I mean, it's sort of a quintessential Star Trek-y kind of thing, so I'll give it a thumbs up.
yeah, no, it's a good Star Trekky Trek episode, and we get some good Troy stuff. But him being like,
with you, Will. I didn't like the actor either.
The actor annoys me. Like,
I like the premise of an entire lifetime based on feeling and knowing everybody, and how completely overwhelming that would be. And how do you carve out your own identity separate from?
Yeah, the idea of that's interesting, and then going to a place where there's only one thing. Yeah, that
needing.
I like the idea of it. The actor's delivery is just like, oh my god, just slap that man in the face and date him. Like, I'm so sick of his shit. Just like, oh my god, I would have been like, if that man was on my ship, I was like, I don't care what's going on, sedate that dude. He annoys the shit out of me. Like, ugh.
Let's see those thumbs.
It's a thumbs up, but I hate that actor. I hate the thumbs up.
Didn't we already do this one? Thumbs up.
Yeah. Oh, episode 21, Hollow Pursuits. The crew struggles to help The crew struggles to help an engineer whose obsession with the fantasy world holodeck is endangering the ship. I hate Reginald Broccoli. Hate him.
All right, down.
Send it out the airlock.
Down and moving
I
on.
liked this episode.
Matt's gonna be the contrarian.
I don't care.
But
that
it's
he's
not.
a neurodivergent
It's not
avatar.
it's not because of the character. I liked the idea of a person who, and I said this about another episode, that is so smart but is so outside of integrating with other people, and the lengths that they will go to feel like they belong to something.
Yes,
that's a very generous view of it.
No,
I think it's one of those ones where the execution is where it's off for me. And again, we've talked about this with the holodeck. Like, there need to be rules at the holodeck. Like, you cannot create fantasy fuck buddies based on real people you know on that ship. I'm sorry, I would have a hologram Chris Evans. There is no question, unless there is a law forbidding me. Like, there need to be regulations. I cannot control myself in that regard.
I do think that that is the one thing in this episode. I actually really like the episode because I think it does play exactly, and I think exactly what Krista was saying. Like, this is coming from someone who is so outside of any comfort zone, being on a ship, relying on other people, that he doesn't know how to interact. He doesn't know how to socialize, but he is so good at what we've seen, and we do see later on, that he is very good at what he does, and he's very smart, like, at what he is as an engineer and programming and stuff. But he just, like, this is his escape because he cannot do it on his own, even though he wants to, and he wants to so badly that he creates this thing with all these people that he does know. Like, you wouldn't just do that if you didn't respect these people and want to be in this but not know how. And I think that it approaches things in a good way, a lot of good things, obviously a lot of bad things, and a lot of very stereotypical, and they villainize him, rightfully so, with how he's written. But, like, I don't know, with Troy seeing herself, and, like, it's not this secret that they, like, never, like, she confronts it and she's like, all right, we're dealing with this, and she still wants to help him. Like, I don't know. There's just
Well, and also
past
there's
it.
the whole Geordie aspect of it, where it's like he's
Yes.
walking around calling him broccoli, but 3 episodes ago, you were having you were actually in a situation where you had 20 minutes to do something that the captain asked you to do, and you took 19 of those minutes and asked the computer to make the hologram more realistic, and then the last minute you're going to address the deal. So
because you wanted to touch her engines.
Because you wanted to, you wanted to
Her
talk to
ample
her and touch
nacelles.
her
Ample
nacelles, yeah.
nacelles. You wanted to fondle her
I think
nacelles. And
this is one of those episodes that I think you could have fixed by the people in the holodeck not being based on real people, and not from like there should be regulations thing. I didn't like it. Was again execution for me. I didn't like that Troy moment where she's like, "No, let's see what this is about." She honestly should have been like,
Well,
we should not be getting into his fantasy. Let's end the program now. Because then later on, when she gets all upset because she is also part of this, like, was a little.
it's objectifying.
Not
It's
professional.
it was
problematic
hypocritical.
because
Well, yeah, because she shouldn't have gotten upset if she was there being like, well, it's to assume that there's other characters that are based on
Right.
that she would probably be there. Yeah.
To
I
your
mean, all
point,
of Troy
Stan,
is
if
unprofessional.
they if they walked in on a hologram and they were all sitting at a poker table and they were just playing a game of poker, it wouldn't have been a big deal. It would have it's the objectification that is the problem. It's the Renaissance look and the petting his hair while Wesley's on a swing. I don't even understand the imagery there. I don't even understand where you're fucking
You
coming
don't
from,
want to see the.
but clearly you're coming from somewhere, and these are the people that you see every day. So I think it's a matter of I think you're right. It easily could have been fixed if it were other people or if they weren't objectified. If they eliminated that part where it was just, he's talking to hologram Troy therapist instead of she's some Greek goddess.
Or
they were,
or
it was even just he was trying to be the hero, like when he becomes in Voyager when he does the holodeck with them. It's nothing weird or really. He's just the hero that everyone loves. Like that is what this episode really should have been from the beginning. Like it's just he wants to be the hero. He wants to feel self-worth with these people he respects. It just got that creepy 80s, 90s like reduction of character.
Yeah.
It only
Let's see those thumbs.
I'm going to give it a sideways. You guys convinced me. It's a better episode than what I remember from you guys talk about it. But it's hard for me to get around Barclay's character. It's just like this man would have charged him.
But it becomes
for you, babe.
valuable later when he's not doing that anymore.
Yeah, he did. Him being on the Pathfinder array thing in Voyager was a much better thing for him.
He was
Whatever.
in San Francisco.
Oh, whatever he was. Him not being on a ship because
he was on the Pathfinder project.
Yeah, that thing. It was like anyway.
Episode 22, the most toys. The crew leaves Data for dead when his shuttlecraft explodes during a dangerous mission.
He gets kidnapped by some weird dude.
That dude always plays a weird dude. He always plays such a fucker. He's like, you need a fucker? This guy.
That guy. Yeah. He's one of the people,
fantastic short
people like the woman in the Survivors episode who's just kind of in everything in the late 80s and 90s. It's like this guy's in everything. I remember he's in
But it wasn't supposed to be him. It actually wasn't him. It was David Rappaport, who was the little guy, the lead in Time Bandits. He was the one who was in this. They shot most of the episode, and he committed suicide.
Oh yeah,
right.
I forgot that was this
they
one.
had to go back and reshoot it with this guy, Saul Rubinek.
I forgot.
This was a very troubled episode for that reason.
I like the concept of it, especially the Elon Musk of it all.
Yeah, very Elon Musk.
Buy whatever you want if you have an apartheid wealth.
Emerald Mind,
yeah. I think it's a good Data episode.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see him trying to escape his kind of like conflict of character and like, oh, I have
to kill him.
Yeah, it's like I have to kill him to escape. Like that's interesting. I mean, if
And
this
he
was
lied about it, that was
he did.
That was a really like Ken, do you remember watching this in real time? Like, was there any kind of reaction to that? Because that's really antithetical
lied
all the time.
Yeah,
with Data almost killing the character.
Yeah, choosing to kill him,
yeah.
It didn't work, and then lying to Commander Riker about it.
Yeah, I remember how powerful it was to see that ending, and the write-ups that came out soon after that. It was a lot of the critique was, this was a very conscious, sentient moment for Data, probably one of the most sentient moments that Data ever had. And so the idea was, what were they trying to say here? And the reaction to seeing how terrible that weapon was in killing the woman, I forget her name, but seeing how she slowly disintegrates, right? And then Data, something just trips in Data. It was a very controversial ending. The episode was already controversial because of the Rappaport story. It was a very controversial ending. It got a lot of attention. A lot of people wrote up and said this was an interesting episode. What would be interesting to see, and I'd have to look it up, is what Brent Spiner may have said about it. But yeah,
it's interesting.
I liked it. Oh, thumbs up.
Yeah, it was good. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All righty. Episode 23, Sarek. The Enterprise is plagued by an outbreak of violence when it is visited by a renowned Vulcan ambassador.
The renowned Vulcan ambassador.
No, Ken, this is your territory, so you go first.
Well, so what was interesting about this episode from an original series standpoint is Gene Roddenberry had said, with the exception of DeForest Kelley showing up for his momentary appearance and encounter at Farpoint, that there would be no ties to the original series. That he wanted it as far away from as possible, having it on the Starship Enterprise. But so they really did not want to rely on anything with the original series. And with the second episode being the Naked Now and all that. But anyway, so to now bring a character like Sarek, like Mark Leonard back, clearly ties this back to the original series in a way that no one really was expecting, to the point where the powers that be said, we do not want any reference to Spock. No reference to Spock. And originally this was not going to be Mark Leonard as Sarek. It was written as another character. It was outlined as a different character. And then they thought, let's bring Mark Leonard back. But the idea that they were not going to reference Spock, and the moment that it happened, and it was Picard who said Spock, in that whole amazing scene, Patrick Stewart's amazing scene channeling Sarek's emotions, and Amanda. Spock was powerful, but the whole thing with Amanda, and just thinking about it brings chills right now. It was a bit of a love letter to the original series for sure, but more so than that, it was a great and powerful allegory to Alzheimer's, and to do that and do it that way and talk again about disabilities here this season, talking about disabilities in this way, I think was very well done. It's a very, very, I think, very strong episode, and Mark Leonard did a fantastic job.
Yeah, great episode. Great episode. Good writing, good acting, good direction. It's an interesting. It's a good use of a legacy character in an episode that it doesn't involve a, hey, look who we got. It's like this character developed, like there's a relationship that Picard has with him that we learn about, and like everything he kind of does, and what it's a fascinating episode. I always, watching it again, it made me think about like, what were they intentionally writing an allegory for, like Roddenberry's failing health? It's like what it feels like that he's trying to cling on to something and it's creating discord amongst people accidentally, which I don't know if that's like, if that's a subconscious writing thing that might have happened, or when the story was pitched, but it does feel like you get this legacy character who is effectively dying, which could be linked back to Roddenberry, how that connects to this series and how his legacy's carried on. So it's an interesting episode, and I think it's just a beautifully written, and I think Patrick Stewart gives a really compelling performance. Sometimes he can be a little ham when he's trying to play someone who's crying and emotional, but he's also a Shakespearean actor, so that reads for me. But
well, he's a real actor, Will.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's what the entire season is about. He's a real actor. On a totally,
and it's Beverly there, which we don't really talk about that much. It's Beverly there with Picard in that scene.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's a good moment.
Very easily could have had like his first officer or the counselor would have made
Wesley
sense.
just shaking, holding a phaser.
I love that it was his oldest friend, which was Beverly.
She was his safe space.
Yeah.
Allowing him to do this, but also on a totally superficial note, Perrin's jewelry. Oh, honey.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All that jewelry. I was like, they broke the bank for the jewels.
That's a woman who's like, I wear these jewels. I wear them every day, darling. They don't stay in the home. I wear them every day.
I'm just saying,
yeah,
you know, he's like going off about Amanda, and I'm like, all that jewelry is mistake jewelry, and that is the jewelry that you get when your husband does something that he shouldn't have done. He comes
Sarek has a type.
Here's some.
It is human.
He's and it's human.
Gives me Joe Biden, Dr. Joe Biden vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
True. So
gives me Biden vibes a little bit.
That's
Hot
very
wife.
true.
Yeah. Dr. Jill.
Oh,
Dr. Jill.
and
Awesome.
God bless Rosalind Carter. God bless.
Oh, yeah.
Carter. All right.
Well, both of them.
Thumbs
Absolutely. Both.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
both
Anyway,
quarters.
All right, let's see those thumbs.
Strong thumbs up.
Eric.
episode. Good episode.
All right,
yeah.
thumbs up. Episode 24, Menage a Troy. Riker and Troy's shore leave on Beta Z is interrupted when they are unexpectedly joined by Deanna's mother, Laxmana.
This is fun, silly, and fun.
I watched
a good,
this
fun
episode
episode.
today. Silly, fun.
Yeah, this is a good episode.
It's a good
Picard
palate
is-
cleanser following Sarek.
Yeah, it's also
Yeah.
weird. Like, there's some weird things that happen. Like, Picard is like, Deanna,
Matt,
surely
see
you
Matt.
should go too. And then they kiss. Where's that banner? That one's still here.
They kiss,
They kiss.
and then they kiss
And then they promptly forget about it.
until 25 years later.
And I like
episode.
the finale when Picard is begging for Lwaxana to come back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
I love
Ferengi in
God,
this. It's a good episode.
Yeah.
It's
The-
fun.
the mental
whole
powers.
thing, the whole episode, guys. It's one of my. Oh, I love this episode. I do. It's. Give me walks on a Troy for anything. That's all it is.
Someone wants Umox. Is that what this is? You want
Umox.
Umox?
Oh yeah, Umox. It's good.
We find out that the chalice of Reeks is just a clay pot with mold
Clay
inside.
pot.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
I love
When
it.
you're older and wiser, you'll
Loved it.
understand.
Understand. That's funny. That was funny. Oh, that's good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let's see those thumbs again.
This is a good episode. It's a good thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right.
Wow.
Coming in for a landing here pretty
Dramatic.
soon. Episode 25, Transfigurations. The Enterprise rescues a mysterious humanoid whose remarkable powers affect the entire crew.
Again.
It was such a meh episode.
Yeah, Matt.
What? Give me more of a. I don't remember this. One.
Right.
What
This is a bad description. So they find somebody
The
crashed.
book says here, the Enterprise rescues a severely injured amnesiac humanoid with strange healing powers. Dubbed John Doe, the alien suffers from pain that drives him.
Oh,
to
this is the
attempt to
glowing
leave the
body
ship
suit
in a
at the
stolen
end.
ship.
Dr.
Yeah.
Beverly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got this one. Yeah.
Some good
this is
Beverly
that
Doctor
weird,
moment.
that weird, really weird conversation between Wesley and Beverly about
About her
the-
falling in love with a patient.
about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
onesie
Oh
man.
yeah.
That was. I was like, I know.
Star Trek does this with doctors. Like, I think every doctor except Phlox had a thing with a patient.
Yeah.
McCoy. Not McCoy. Oh, actually, McCoy.
Well, he had that one with
did.
the one woman on the planet surface too.
Salt.
But he
Well, she wasn't a patient, at least.
was
Oh.
dying, yeah.
Well, Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Oracle.
Anywho,
Culber,
Yeah, this is a mess.
technically Culber.
Oh,
we have
that's
to be
true.
more-
He hasn't. Yeah, there
We
we
have
go.
to be more
Well, that's right.
inclusive of Discovery. We have to
I
be
mean,
more
and
inclusive.
his husband did not become a patient until like situation like there was no other doctor available to take care of him.
Exactly.
Oh,
So technically, the gays are winning.
Always.
the gays are always winning.
Let's
They
see.
like to think they're always winning. So
This is one of those episodes where I think about like a what if scenario. Like, what if he didn't heal Worf?
Yeah.
This would be like, what if they like every other season kill off a character in some weird, unceremonious way? The tactical officer
Just
we
keep
don't-
dying. Yeah,
We
yeah.
do not need to respect Discovery that much.
Oh, fair. Yeah,
this was a blah episode to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see those.
Like,
It was
It's not the worst, but it's not great. It's a little
Yeah, I never give it a thumbs
sideways.
Thumbs down.
Sideways.
Thumb sideways.
Now we move to one of the
Sideways.
worst
I was
episodes
sideways.
ever.
Well, the next one's a thumbs up. So.
Yeah.
We'll give one of the worst
Closing out the season, the Salon, episode 26. The best of both worlds, part 1. The evil Borg capture Captain Picard in an attempt to conquer the human race. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun.
It's hard to. It's one of those episodes where it's like it's undeniably good. There are points in it where I'm like, yeah, thumbs down, hard down, yeah, hard down. Your
It's
laser.
undeniably
It's the
integral to
introduction
the
of
entire.
Shelby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's integral
it's integral.
apparently-
It's integral to the fabric of Star Trek into Next
Yeah.
Generation. It's integral to it.
There
It
was
is a-
also
it is a-
that weird conversation about Shelby. Like you seem quite taken with her.
Yeah.
in your dreams. It's
Oh,
like, ooh, okay,
just an old man's
Weird.
fantasy.
Yeah.
just an old man's
Yeah.
fantasy. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
interesting.
Wait, but
But I liked
we-
the foil of Shelby. I didn't particularly like the character, but I think again it goes back to they're not, she was written very one-dimensionally. It was, I want your job. I'm good at this. This is what I do. I want your job, and this is why I'm here. And I'm sorry you're in the dark about it, but I'm not going to adjust my behavior. And it was a very one-dimensional way of writing a person who is perfectly capable of having that job in any other circumstance. And that's a weird way that they write. They made her intentionally come across as antagonistic, in the same way that they introduced Pulaski to be sort of antagonistic right off the rip. And you're kind of like, hey, wait a minute, who is this new character? And they softened her up a little bit, but
I respect
It's the
your
better
opinion,
of
I
the two.
appreciate it, but because I love Shelby, I'm gonna hard disagree on that. I like her foil to Riker being the settled, seasoned first officer, and then her being the kind of upstart who the reason he doesn't like her is because it reminds him too much of himself when he was that age. So it's this person who's gunning for his job, and she's just like, you're gonna have to leave sometime. Your trajectory is to take a captain of a ship, and I know that you've been,
She was also put on the. She was basically told, "Oh yeah, he's been offered a captaincy." Probably
because
by
the admiral's grooming her. Well,
So-
I hate that word, but that's her mentor, and he was like, "I offered him a ship. He's going to take it, or this is kind of the last train leaving the last ship leaving the space dock, so to speak."
Yeah, so she's been put under the impression that he's probably leaving. So it wouldn't be weird to be like,
no,
hey,
being
this
like,
job you're about to give up. I
her
want
coming
it.
in and impressing the captain.
Yeah.
I think someone who's ambitious. I think that she seems antagonistic. I think she's written that way, but to then frame a woman as being unlikable because she's ambitious, I think.
Yeah, so Krista, I think
that's what I'm saying. That's
blame
what I'm
women. Respect women more, please.
Yeah,
please,
Krista, if you can respect women, I think everyone here would appreciate it.
Yeah.
It should really try.
It's a good. The funny thing is people always remember this episode as like a Picard episode, but it starts out as a Riker episode.
Yeah, it really does.
It's very centered on him and him being like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. and it's like his fear of like maybe becoming a new captain or whatever that is. But like, I know you guys talked about it 2 weeks ago, but I have thoughts on how this ended. But like, it does. I don't know. It's an interesting episode in that it this is the last episode that Riker has any type of agency and is effective. After this episode, he kind of becomes the layman who's like, well, explain that to me as if I'm a person watching the show. So it's like he doesn't really have like agency after this. He's just like, oh, sleep fucking an alien or like asking people to explain stuff more clearly, which is kind of a bummer because I think he's Riker is a they could have done so much more interesting things with him as a character, as someone who's like, how do we go? What do you do when you leave? You know,
they didn't really get it until Picard season 3 when he was fantastic.
Yeah, they didn't really. Yeah, blame women. Yeah, no, but I think it's a good episode, and the Borg this is like the one episode where I think the Borg are the scariest.
There's a weird comment in here, which I'm trying to remember. They say that the planet, the city that was scooped up is similar to what happened along the neutral zone. And I think they mentioned that neutral zone stuff at the end of season 1, didn't they?
Yeah, it's season 1. These guys were planned for a long time. So
season 2 was supposed to be, the Borg were supposed to be more of a thing in season 2, but then the writer's strike at the time
took that out. Yeah. Because initially, they were because originally the Ferengi were supposed to be the enemies, and then they're like, yeah, we can't have these clowns be the antagonists of the series. No. And then they went, so they made the Borg, and then they kind of got planted early on. Yeah, originally the ship that took out the Romulans, that they were originally in that episode of season 1, they were supposed to completely wipe out all of the Romulans. They were supposed to destroy Romulus and take one ship. So the Borg, he was supposed to take all the Romulans out. That was the point. But then they're like, we can't do that. So they just made it a colony.
I never heard that. The Romulans were always destined to be destroyed, apparently.
Yeah. I will give a plug for the Wolf 359 project. For those who haven't read it, it's super fun. It's written as like a series of interviews of people who were involved in the Wolf 359 incident, and there's a new character that the creators of the project made up to be like the head of this commission of like what happened, and they have like Admiralty meeting minutes that you can read, and the Romulan commander from that season 1 episode, played by the guy who played Gul Dukat, he's interviewed in it, and you learn things from his perspective that like you kind of assume from an audience perspective, but the characters wouldn't have known. Really cool stuff. Highly recommend it.
Perfect.
Yes, meeting minutes. It like, as exciting as I make that sound, it was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun read. It's fun.
And it's fun to read it on your iPad, or if you have some other kind of tablet, because then it's like you're reading a report from Starfleet Command.
That's what I was trying to do, but I couldn't get it on my iPad for a while.
Yeah,
did you figure it out?
359 was an inside job. Oh my God, Bush did 359. Yeah. Since I didn't get to talk about the last time, can I talk about why I don't like Best of Both Worlds Part 2?
Yes. So
I would love to talk about it too.
Now is the time, because
it's a 2-parter. It's kind of, we can 2-parter.
Yes, and I know some people weren't here, so like yes, let's.
I was getting drunk in London. Yeah. So you could tell that they didn't know how to end this episode, and I know that there's like they didn't, and there's speculation that as Patrick Stewart was negotiating a contract and they might kill him off and blah blah blah. This episode should have ended differently with I always think it should have ended with Riker sitting. They have Picard looking out his window, and then it should have gone to Riker sitting in 10 forward looking out the window. Because the first part of this, it doesn't wrap up Riker's story really. He becomes captain and whatever. They should have let it so Riker was captain of the Enterprise longer, or like they let Picard go off and like run around and do archaeology fun adventures with Vosh or something, and then have Riker be the captain of the Enterprise, or like have them like a shared thing. I don't know, but I don't. Or should have had Riker leave the Enterprise and had Shelby become the new number 1. Like I never felt like there was a resolution to his story, and he ends up kind of disappearing at the end of that, and it's kind of a bummer. But the solution of them making them sleep is an interesting way to fix it, and then the ship blowing up. I'm like, yeah, fine, but
way too close to Earth, though.
Right on the planet.
They should have moved it first. It's
yeah.
like people who talk about the other franchise, the last episode of the original Return of the Jedi. The second Death Star blowing up right over Endor, would have fucked up that moon and the Ewoks. That celebration that they were having would have ended real
cataclysmic event where they all die.
No, it's not that big. The Death Star is not that big compared to a moon.
It says it is a moon. They say that's no moon. They say it's the size of a moon.
And it was also
that doesn't mean that's the same size.
The Borg cube also is huge, blowing up right next to the planet. Like there would be debris issues for sure.
But exactly. It's a dangerous conceit. But yeah,
in a world where budget is not a thing and you don't have constraints, I like the idea of Captain Riker remaining a captain, Picard being promoted to an admiralty, and then the Enterprise being the flagship that it is. They're going on more missions where Picard is in charge of the mission, Riker's in charge of the ship, or just do what the original series did in the movies where you have multiple captains. It doesn't matter. He's still the first officer. I thought it was, I remember even as a kid thinking, it's weird that they took that rank away from him because like,
did he got demoted? I mean, he literally commanded the ship that saved Earth. Like save the Federation, and they're like, oh, by the way, we're taking that back. And it wasn't like him giving it up, being like, this wasn't for me. Like there was no resolution.
There should have been a scene. It was like,
there's no resolution to his character because they're like, oh, we have to center this back on Picard and Data. So it's kind of a bummer. But that's my thought on part 2 and why I hate it.
24th century.
Well, it wasn't.
Thumbs down.
They weren't serialized.
Labor disputes.
I mean, if it would have happened in Deep Space Nine. Yeah.
Can I know? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not if it was a more serialized situation like Deep Space Nine ultimately was, and you could have seen exactly what you're describing. Well, but the way that the show was not serialized. I mean, to take it to a third part in families was unprecedented.
Yeah.
So because it wasn't a serialized show, they still, in a lot of ways, had to get back to the reset button. So that, if you watch the things out of order, you still know Picard's captain, Riker's second in command, blah, blah, blah. They had that. They still were in this, let's reset to the top of the next episode.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about how Star Trek works? Because I haven't been that long.
He was being sweet.
No, he makes a good point. He makes a good point. There is the reset, the soft reset of every episode. But I mean,
but not in Deep Space Nine. What I'm saying is if it was a few years later, now none of the shows do that. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have any reset button now, and you had no reset button in Deep Space Nine.
I would also like to argue, because we've been done with the episodes, that is what is partially missing in a lot of the new Star Treks, is that we're not getting a little bit of a reset. We're getting too much of this giant arc that we're getting sucked into, and then they're stretching it out, and then there's so much going on, and we're not like focusing on maybe just reset. Because my life, I
think Strange New Worlds does a good job of that, though. We get enough character development where they rotate through, but we're still getting a reset. I think it just my hope was that the character of Riker progressed, where we get something where he's like, I don't know if captaining is right for me because whatever happened with this, but he was an excellent captain. He made excellent choices. He leaned on the people around him. He made very decisions where he goes, this is the person I need to be my first officer, where the more logical choice would have been to either have it be, war for Data. But he goes, no, I'm going to pick Shelby because she's the one who's challenging him. So it's an incredibly smart decision as someone who should be captaining a starship. But after that, all he does is swing his leg over a chair for 3 more seasons.
Here's my thing.
I do think Riker Alpha veering to the left, genius.
Yeah.
I do want to, they could have so easily said and had the end of it be him taking almost that captaincy and saying, you know what, I know I'm ready, but I'm not ready to leave the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
and
There's no
saying-
resolution to his character. There needed to be at least a line or a scene where he talks
but
about
there
it, at least
should-
with
exactly,
Troy or
there should have been
something.
something with where he says like he is cognizantly aware that Picard's not going to be okay when he comes back, that the crew is still fucked up from everything that just happened.
Right. And they need him here.
In a way, he even gets to be captain he gets to continue being captain because he is taking that higher role of, you know what, I've earned it. I can go off to another ship and I can reset. But I am choosing to stay here because these are the people that I love and this is the ship that I love. And this is not going to just go away.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
me.
Or he,
Yeah.
it would be interesting too if he has a moment where he goes, "Oh, this terrified me." He goes, I didn't feel confident in what I was doing. He goes, I was terrified. And
I
what
tried
we were,
to kill my captain.
yeah. Because he outmaneuvers arguably the greatest captain of that generation, outmaneuvers him in a way that like really just slaps his little bottom, like it, and takes out the Borg. So it's like, that's an incredible achievement for a captain, for someone who's taken that position so quickly.
And what a fun way to put it.
They should
He
have
slaps their little bottom. He comes not even like a oh, I beat the shit. He was like, oh, got you. Like it was like it's such a little like it's such a power move.
Yeah,
and it like that's what bugs me about the episode is Riker clearly kicks Picard's ass.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm gonna sit next to him and be like, got you, bitch. It's like that's the thing that drives me nuts about that episode. It's like Riker is clearly now the superior captain because he totally kicked Picard's ass. And it's just like, yeah. And he did it before too. He did it in season 2 with a shitty ship.
Peak performance.
With the fucking Stargazer class, not with the fucking Constellation class.
Yeah.
With his kicks Picard's ass with his own favorite
His
ship.
old ship, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Riker for president. I don't know why I got on that.
That is a great segue into ending this portion of the Salon, the season 3 episode Thumb Wars. I have a thing to show. And with that,
I did just laugh out loud at that.
Wow.
the Thumb Wars portion of the episode is ending. I want to thank our audience. You all have been lovely. We hope you live long and prosper. And with that, we will see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.